The shocking murder of JonBenét Ramsey remains unsolved, and dogged investigators continue to work the case, looking at clues and tips to generate new theories about who killed her. A wide range of suspects are brought to light in this episode, including the Ramsey's housekeeper as well as the man who portrayed Santa Claus at a holiday party that she attended days before JonBenét was found murdered. Patsy Ramsey told police she found this ransom note on a staircase in her home before realizing her daughter was missing. Investigators said the note was unusual for several reasons. There were a number of things unusual about the note. Number one, the length of the note was very long, 3 pages, said retired Detective Fred Patterson of the Boulder Police Department to HLN. I've seen and worked a number of kidnappings for the FBI, and most of the notes are very short. They're very terse, very succinct, and they give very specific instructions, almost like bullet points, retired FBI Special Agent Ron Walker told HLN. I have never seen a ransom kidnapping that asks for such a specific amount of money, $118,000. Tragically, she was later found dead in that house, and an autopsy revealed the cause of her death as strangulation. Since JonBenét's murder, detectives have followed up on every lead that has come into the department, to include more than 21,016 tips, letters, and emails, and traveling to 19 states to interview or speak with more than 1,000 individuals in connection to this crime. This crime has left a hole in the hearts of many, and we will never stop investigating until we find JonBenét's killer, Police Chief Maris Harold said. That includes following up on every lead and working with our policing partners and DNA experts around the country to solve this tragic case. This investigation has always been and will continue to be a priority for the Boulder Police Department. This case has been under constant review with federal, state, and local partners, as well as in consultation with DNA experts from around the country. Boulder Police have sought out and worked regularly with multiple stakeholders across the country, to include the FBI, the Boulder County District Attorney's Office, Colorado's Department of Public Safety, Colorado's Bureau of Investigation, CBI, and several outside forensic labs. That collaboration continues to this day. The murder of JonBenét Ramsey is a terrible tragedy and sparked years of unanswered questions and theories. Our office has successfully prosecuted other cold case homicides and many murder cases, District Attorney Michael Dougherty said. In every one of those cases, it was the evidence that proved the defendants guilty. Whether it is DNA or other evidence, more is needed to solve this murder. I appreciate the collaboration with CBI, the FBI, and the Boulder Police Department. A police source told the Messenger, there are several people on the radar, new persons of interest, and we are seeing if any of them are the key to solving this case. Time will tell if we get the answers we need. This is a marathon, not a sprint. Suspects and witnesses can come from a variety of places. It's not just the DNA, it's what happens when you investigate a very difficult case. There are new people to look at to hopefully figure out who killed JonBenét. None of the new people of interest have been named. When contacted by mailonline.com, Boulder Police referred to previous case updates. On the day after Christmas in 1996, JonBenét was reported missing and then found dead in the basement of her family home in an upper-middle-class neighborhood in Boulder, Colorado. The coroner determined that the pageant girl's cause of death was asphyxia by strangulation associated with craniocerebral trauma, meaning she had been choked and beaten to death. A garrote was found around her neck. She was covered by a white blanket with a nylon cord around her neck, her wrists bound above her head, and her mouth covered by duct tape. There was no clear-cut evidence of rape, but police did not rule out sexual assault. The country became extremely interested in the murder of the pretty little girl, and many glammed-up pictures were blasted across the airwaves because of her time in child pageants. Investigators initially focused on the Ramsey family, comprised of her parents, John and Patsy, and her brother Burke. They were eventually all cleared as suspects, though not formally for many years. Patsy Ramsey died of ovarian cancer in 2006, 2 years before she, John, and Burke would officially be removed from the suspect list. John is now 78 years old and aware that time is short to solve his daughter's murder. In an update from May 2022, police said they had followed 21,016 tips surrounding the death, and that her murder is under constant review with federal, state, and local partners. Police Chief Maris Harold said, "We have a shared goal to bring justice, and hopefully some peace, to JonBenét's family and everyone who was impacted by her loss." Earlier this month, the man once extradited and arrested for the murder of JonBenét spoke out for the first time in years, hinting that his previous confession may have been an attempt to protect someone else. John Mark Carr, 58, claimed 17 years ago that he was with JonBenét when she died 1 decade prior at her family's home in Boulder, Colorado. He said her death was an accident and that he had loved her and was very sorry for what happened to JonBenét. In 2006, authorities extradited Carr from Thailand, but were ultimately unable to link him to the scene of the crime, and so felt compelled to release him. In an interview with The Messenger, Carr said, "I am not crazy. I am not delusional." "There's so much more to my story," he said, adding that he has been investigated by the FBI for many more crimes and is living outside the U.S. for my own safety. Though most ultimately dismissed Carr's claims about being at the scene as elaborate lies, not everyone thought the tale was meritless. "Everyone was so quick to say that I was a liar or delusional," he said. "Did it ever occur to someone that I might have been trying to protect someone else?" He declined to elaborate, but one possible explanation that some police were open to at the time is that Ramsey's killer did not work alone. When asked if he was with JonBenét when she died, or if he had killed her, Carr shut up and said he did not want to incriminate himself as the case continues to be investigated nearly 27 years after the crime. When Carr was arrested and interrogated, he knew details of the murder case that had not been released to the public. According to authorities, many of his claims seemed to be backed up by physical evidence. In 2006, Carr claimed he drugged JonBenét and then had sex with her, but an autopsy said a blood screening showed no drugs or alcohol in her body. And despite his claim of sexually assaulting Ramsey, no semen was found on her body. However, the little girl did have small vaginal abrasions. The DNA evidence found on Ramsey's undergarments did not belong to Carr. Local police believed his DNA would have been present at the crime scene if he were telling the truth. Many of the Ramseys' neighbors report lights on in the house on Christmas night and early the following day. There were also reports of a missing safety light on the property. Another neighbor heard a scream between midnight and 2 a.m. Further neighborhood reports can be found here. There are multiple, differing accounts. Almost 25 years after her kidnap and murder, beauty pageant winner JonBenét Ramsey may finally be the next victim to have genealogy DNA used in her case. According to Radar Online, Roscoe J. Clark and Derek Bromerick believe they've found a suspect in the case. The men, who aren't involved with the authorities but instead run an online group relating to JonBenét's murder, traveled to Colorado and gathered DNA from someone they believe is a suspect. The DNA was obtained from a discarded cigarette butt and was passed on to Under-Sheriff Mike Angus of Genesee County, and from there it will go to the FBI. If this unnamed suspect did indeed kill JonBenét Ramsey, it will rule out long-thought theories that her brother Burke accidentally killed his younger sister. There has also been an additional update. According to TikTok user Sid Broadbent, she attended a recent lecture with criminal profiler and retired psychologist John Philpin, who then disclosed undisclosed evidence about JonBenét's case. According to the 4-part video, which has now been viewed over 200,000 times, collectively, the woman makes a case for 8-year-old Burke being unable to strangle his little sister due to not being strong enough. Philpin claims an intruder could be to blame for JonBenét's murder, and it all comes down to ransom amount.